Chapter 8. Cass walked quickly away from the school, arms crossed, heart pounding. She kept seeing Deegan's face when the pages of his notebook ripped in her hands. She had helped Ellis to be a bully again, although she hadn't meant to. She had destroyed that astonishing picture of the man on the cliff who pulsed with the power of choice to fall or to fly. Inside, faintly, almost like a beat that wouldn't stop, the masked voices seemed to agree. They vibrated with regret, with sorrow. They were inside her head, resounding in her heart. She could hardly bear their disappointment. And then she heard it. Yeah, head back to your teepee, whatever. I don't even care. It was Ellis's voice, raised in defiance, not far behind her. Was he talking to her? But then came Deegan's voice. Why are you following me? We go home this way in case you'd forgotten, someone else called. Except we don't turn on King Street and go to the criminal side of town like you do. Cass shrugged into her coat, like a turtle trying to get its head into its shell. So Ellis had at least one other person with him, maybe more. The mask's pulsing voices kept thumping inside her, calling to her, telling her to turn around. I can't, she thought. Ellis hasn't seen me. I can get away if I keep walking. I didn't mean to wreck your stupid notebook, Ellis said. I don't even know why you keep drawing that stuff all the time. It's not like you're ever going to get a job from it or make money. It's a waste of time. Several voices laughed. The pounding grew inside Cass. Before she could think about it more, before she could tell herself not to, she swung around. Ellis had 3 boys with him. Deegan was walking a few paces in front of them, head down, hands in the pockets of his coat, like if he tried hard enough he could become invisible. Cass fell into step beside Deegan, who was ignoring her. He probably thought she was going to join in the bullying. Hey, she heard herself saying to Deegan brightly, like she hadn't wrecked his notebook, like they were friends. I just wanted to say I think you're an amazing artist. How did you learn to draw like that? I wish I could draw. Maybe you can show me sometime. Deegan said nothing. I guess some other people must be pretty jealous of that, Cass went on, because they can't draw and everything. But we can't all be good at stuff, right, Ellis? She whirled around on Ellis and his friends. Don't worry, you'll find something you're good at. Everybody's good at something. Everybody's got a talent. Just keep trying. What is your problem? Ellis said, looking confused and fierce. I haven't got a problem, Cass said, head whirling, riding on a wave of adrenaline. Sure, she was going to crash at any moment. Just walking with my friend. Just walking home. Did you know Mr. Gregor is my neighbor? He's probably going to drive along here any minute. I'm good at lots of things, Ellis said. You should go do them, Cass said, while the beat inside her kept growing. You should go do them right now. Then everything got very quiet. The whole world seemed to stop. It was just Cass and the 4 of them, the 4 bullies, and she was not going to look away first. At last, Ellis kicked a stone across the road, frowning at it. Come on, he said to the other boys, voice high. We don't need to talk to a girl. Deegan was far up the street now, moving fast. Cass sprinted till she was beside him, then slowed to his pace. Please go away, Deegan said, walking faster. I just want to go home. I'm just trying to go home. Words burst out of her. I'm sorry about the notebook. I was trying to keep him from taking it again. Then it ripped. It was the most beautiful drawing. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I didn't know what he was planning to do, to take off into the sky or jump or just stay crouched like he was hiding. Deegan looked at her sideways. I will figure out how to buy you a new sketchbook or to fix the old one. I don't have any money right now, but I'll get some. I can get a job doing something like shoveling sidewalk when there's snow, or I could rake leaves. Deegan said in a low voice, I don't want a new notepad. I'll get you one anyway. I wish I could fix your picture. It was so, she struggled for the words, so strong, that man deciding what to do. Which way to go? Deegan kept pounding along while Cass ran beside him. Which way would you choose? Deegan said suddenly, stopping to look at her as if this was important. Cass thought about that man. She thought about what it would be like for him to soar above everything. It was like the daydream she had about being carried on the wind, seeing the lake laid out far below. I'd go up, she said. I'd go so high that everything was tiny below me, so high I was above the birds. Deegan said bitterly, maybe he's waiting to pounce like Ellis. I'm not like Alice, Cass said desperately. You don't know. Back at my old school, how could she explain it? Every day, she said softly, they used to beat me up every day. The voices curled around the memory, the fear of it, and nobody ever cared. Not the principal, not the teachers, not the other kids. Sometimes someone would stop them, some stranger, but not for long. Deegan shoved his hands in his pockets and hunched his shoulders. He was listening. I guess I can see why they did it, Cass whispered. Because of my clothes, because my mom wasn't very rich. Because we went to the food bank. Her voice shook with the memory. They thought they were better than me, I guess. You can beat up someone you think isn't as good as you. No, it wasn't you. There's nothing wrong with you. My aunt says they do it because something's wrong inside them. Something's broken and needs to be fixed. They think they can fix it by hurting other people. Cass wiped away the tears that had suddenly welled up in her eyes when Deegan said that. Nobody ever told her there was nothing wrong with her except Mom, and Mom didn't even know most of what had happened. Because Cass hadn't wanted to worry her, she had already told this boy Deegan more than she told Mom. Come on, let's go, said Deegan, and they started walking again, past the big houses that lined Cass's street. It was weird, Cass thought, walking with someone she had only just met, but it felt perfectly normal too. Maybe people who had been bullied had a bond. They walked in silence for a while along the pristine road with the hedges and the balconies, past houses in which neither of them might belong. Then in a hesitant voice, Deegan said, My aunt thinks my generation can be healers, change the way things are. She tells me to look past now to the future and then channel the spirit to make it happen. He looked sideways at her shyly. That probably sounds weird to you. My aunt's a little out there. She's a healer. She has dreams. People come to her for help. Cass asked curiously, Do you think it's weird? He laughed, and it was the first time she had seen him smile. Nah, I grew up with it. Dreams, spirits, healer, part of our traditional ways. Dreams and spirits? It sprang into her head suddenly, that strange dream she had of the children locked up. She'd forgotten about it until this minute. It had been so real, so soaked in sadness, like a message, like a call through time. Tell me about the traditional ways, she said. Please. What do you want to know? The words sprang from her mouth without her planning them. About the false faces, the false face mask. She took a deep breath. I think I have one. I found it in my drawer when we moved in. It's made out of wood. It's got a weird face with eyes that aren't the same size and a mouth that's only smiling on one side. It's got all this black hair. Sometimes I think I like it, and sometimes I think it's horrible. She took a breath and decided to trust him with everything. And I'm dreaming about it too. I think it's trying to send me messages. Deegan didn't laugh at her. My aunt says you have to be careful with them. They're tricky. Tricky how? Lots of things. My aunt told me about this guy who had two of them facing each other on two walls of a hallway. They got into all this trouble, moved stuff, turned lights on and off. Could a false face sing, she whispered. Sing? Deegan stared. It makes music, Cass said. Not like music. I don't know how to say it. It tells me things. It sings about bullies. It tells me I can be strong. They were on Cass's driveway now. Deegan had not turned into King Street, but had instead walked Cass home. Am I going crazy? Cass whispered. Deegan shook his head, looking impressed. There's a spirit running through those masks. Can go either good or bad. Goes back to the very beginning of creation when there is a battle between the creator and another guy. The creator won, but instead of kicking the other guy out, he let him stay as long as he looked after people. Deegan shrugged, looking shamefaced. My aunt tells it a lot better. So you actually believe me? He shrugged. I've heard a lot weirder stuff than that. And singing, it goes back forever with us. Songs for everything. War, death, birth, planting, marriage, curing people. But the real question is, why is it happening to you? What does the mask want with you? They were by the kitchen door now. Do you want to see it? Cass asked hesitantly.